up, beautiful soul family? I am going to go on a rampage. I'm going to hope that this all comes out articulated smoothly and coherently, because when I speak energy, it sometimes comes out spacey and it jumps. So bear with me. I want to talk about free agency and how that correlates to last night's message, which I realize I made the video as I was embodying the truth. But unless you're actually you understood the line of thoughts, you probably don't. It just sounded really simple. Anyway, and so how it correlates, free agency correlates to the battle between Lucifer and Michael, and how it applies in our life. Now, my channel has been very open, very clear the last 24 hours. It's been absolutely beautiful. I just came back from the gym, moving meditation, if you will. And even then, it's been super clear and beautiful, synchronized confirmations in regards to this idea of free agency. When I look up and I catch the tail end of a screenshot on one of the sports channels of a countdown to free agency. So, in quick reference to last night's conversations and curiosities thoughts I was having. One, is there a Lucifer? Yes. As we have come to understand, there's an entity with a consciousness of the lower frequency. Lucifer, yes. And I ask, well, was there actually a battle between you and him, Michael? Yes. Not necessarily the way, again, we have understood it or the way it's been fully foretold. There's more to it, but in simple terms, yes. And then I ask, well, Michael, was it easy to fight him? I mean, right? Because if we embody the truth, like I was speaking last night in the video, we understand the power that we are. And we're all creations of God, including his angels, both the dark and the light angels, right? Then how do we know who wins? And why would there even be a battle? And why, if God knows, right? What? These are questions that I'm sure many people have asked, and we always are wondering. And why would God do that? Even for his angels? Well, the way it breaks down, and then we're going to apply this to personal life, hopefully, for you guys. One, free will. Free will is the opportunity for choice, right? So even his angels had free will, and therefore Lucifer had the free will to decide, to think that he had an idea of how human experience should be played out, from my understanding of the story. But and for him, it was to suppress and to control. And God was all about free agency. So even in that free will, it created a battle. And free agency was the ability to act on those choices. And the thing that when Michael said, well, so what actually created that battle, if you will, was one, the free will to make those decisions, and then the free agency to act out on those choices. And what created the win, I guess, would be the moral agency, the ability to make sound judgment and act out on that, which I think is the key word when I said love wins. And how do we know what is moral? Well, if you resonate with my page or have worked with me, it's because we don't really accept anything that people tell us as truth, but rather we are continuously questioning. And until we embody a truth, then we accept it. We have to feel it within our soul. And I think that's where moral agency comes into play. That of love, of source of love, that which we are, resonates, lights up, and we know how to move forward. And if the only way we can act out on any of our free will is if we know all the possible choices. And that's why I spoke about this before. Source gets very angry. That's one thing that's very common. When you've been suppressed or held back from knowing all possible choices or opportunities, your free will has been stripped. And more often than not, that's when we see rescue missions, if you will, from the angels come in from these people that have been suppressed. Now, let's apply this to, I want to try to apply this to our daily life. Now, if you've never cussed out God and questioned why horrific things happen, then you probably don't really resonate with this channel, right? Because you just accept everything to be whatever they say. So I know I've cussed out God. And if you guys many of you guys have undergone Stockholm Syndrome, whether you're conscious of it or not, we're seeing a lot of it play out right now. And let's give you a breakdown of what Stockholm Syndrome is if you're not familiar. It is an individual or entity or organization or whatever. Stockholm is essentially putting an individual in a state of fear, stress, anxiety, and survival mode. It is creating an environment where an individual embodies these emotions or survival. And the same person or same thing that put you in that situation is also the person or thing that comes to rescue you by giving solutions. This is how Stockholm Syndrome is created, right? And I know I have undergone Stockholm Syndrome and trauma bonding. It is horrific. It is hard to overcome. And even in my healing, I have asked and questioned. I have felt God's love. Right? I have felt Spirit's love. I channel them. They're right there. And I know, like when I get to the other side, all these answers will be answered. But to be human, sometimes we've cussed out God. And I have been one to do that as well. Furthermore, I have found myself asking, God, are you just as bad as any of these lower consciousness entities or people or organizations or whatever that would induce Stockholm Syndrome? How are you any better? Do you create? It seems that you would put us in a situation, right, for our evolutional growth where we are under stress, survival, the contrast. And in the end, it is you who saves us. Now, that might cause some controversy whatnot. I do love God. I do love Source. I love Spirit. I love angels. But I do ask, did you guys put me in this situation just so you could rescue me? So I could find God? And I have kept that as an open gate. That's Stockholm Syndrome. And through the line of questionings last night, and these have been coming in, I got this answer a couple months ago, but no. Just similar to the whole war between Lucifer and Michael, it was through free will. So when we come here, from my understanding, we choose our experience. And why the hell would we choose to be born into a family where abuse happens? Why would we do that? That doesn't make sense. Why do good things happen? Or why do bad things happen to good people, right? Because that is a part of where we are in our soul evolution that will create the most extension for our soul journey. And when we come down here, we have this veil, and it's in the dark night or our darkest times that we find God, when we remember who we are. And that's when our expansion happens. So first of all, I believe we have the free will and choice to come here. And I say, how brave are you? Because to come down here is to know that you're going to face contrast. And probably have a veil over your eyes and not remember why you came here. Furthermore, because God loves us so much, we have free agency in how we choose to navigate this experience. But only can we act on free agency when we have all our choices revealed to act on free will. Hence, why I believe we have rescue missions, essentially, from the other side to help us see what might be suppressed. And the true evolution is not only one to have free will and free agency, but it's that moral agency, that alignment of the ability to have sound judgment and a moral call, and to step into that. That's how the good wins. That's how we step into our evolution. That's how we ascend. And how do we know what's moral? It's because we come in that alignment and we embody the truth, that which moves our soul. That is, regardless of the situation, we all have so many different circumstances, all diverse journeys. But in the end, we have a veil. We come down here. We are very brave. I'm going to give you kudos. But then once we know our options, then we have free will. And then we have free agency to act on that free will. Furthermore, is having that moral agency of knowing what's in alignment with your soul, which is in alignment to our Creator. And how we raise above. I wanted to share that because last night I know I just kind of rambled out these things that come and all the time. If you have ever undergone Stockholm Syndrome, and many, whether we're conscious of it or not, are actually undergoing some Stockholm Syndrome, where the environment is influenced to put us in survival, fear, anxiety. And then the same thing that created that environment comes forth with solutions. That, like I thought, of God. But the biggest difference is that free agency, the free will. And like that of the battle between good versus evil. So those free choices give even the free will of the evil that chooses to abuse it in their free agency. However, their moral agency is not in alignment. I know that was quite the rampage and kind of out there, but I hope that resonates with some people, because I believe trauma is something that's very universal, and not one of us gets to avoid. There just may be different degrees of severity or conscious awareness of it. I have so much love for you guys. Mwah. Namaste.